Jazzcast Pros.
Energy is everything. Energy is everywhere, and focusing on energy can change your life. In today's conversation, I chat with Sarah Boyce. She is a Reiki master, and we get all into how to focus in, hone in on your energy that is all over your body, and especially for entrepreneurs who are always doing, going, achieving, thinking about what's next. How can you kind of turn inwards, look at your inward energy to expand your life? It's a really wonderful conversation. We get into so many deep parts of it, so I'm very excited for you to listen to the conversation. I do have one request. If you have ever gotten anything out of this podcast, I would love if you could share an episode with a friend who needs to hear a pick-me-up or a story that I shared. I would love if you could share one episode with one friend. That would mean so much to me. So that is my ask. I'm always preaching to my entrepreneurs, ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. This is my ask for help from you, my wonderful listener who gives me time and energy into your headspace every week. And without further ado, let's chat with Sarah Boyce. Welcome to High Vibe Table Talks, the podcast to help you, the cautiously ambitious woman, remove mental barriers and take action now so that you can achieve your high vibe desires. I'm Rashawn, your high vibe curator, cheerleader, and accountability partner. As a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur who recently quit my job to follow my dreams, I understand why you may be hesitant to throw caution to the wind and take that leap. The growth journey can be a roller coaster ride, filled with highs and lows, expectations and disappointments, fear of the unknown. But here at the High Vibe Table, we take big dreams and break them into small action steps that can transform your life. I'm excited to chat with our guest today, Sarah Boyce. So Sarah, welcome to High Vibe Table Talks. Thanks for joining today.
And thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, this will be so awesome. So can you tell our audience who you are, where you are kind of geographically, because I have guests all over, and who do you serve?
I am Sarah, and I am a Reiki master. I serve the Oswego County and Onondaga County residents, so in Syracuse, New York. So I offer energy healing and intuitive readings.
Awesome. And a lot of my audience is familiar with some of those practices, but if you had to sum up Reiki, and energy healing, what does that mean to someone?
So energy healing is life force energy. So we have chakra centers, which you can see actually behind me. They are the energy centers through our body, which serve the emotion. So if something isn't feeling right, I can kind of go in there and see if anything's like kind of moving a little bit slower. And I charge it up to make sure we're at full speed.
Yeah, we were actually introduced because my podcast producer met you at a conference and was like, oh, I want to connect you two and see, how we can support each other's businesses. Yeah. So, I'm in this season of podcast of mindset and manifesting and mastering kind of those aspects of business. So with entrepreneurs, what would you, especially heart-centered entrepreneurs, and I say that separate from like the chakra piece of it, but just the entrepreneurs that I work with are very like of service minded and focused on building their business from their heart and what's aligned with what feels good to them. What do they typically struggle with when it comes to energy, chakras, the work that you do?
Of course. With coming from your heart is a portal. I would say with it coming from their heart space, if everything in their heart is usually aligned, but what I usually see is where they hold their fear. So could be in speaking the way that they should. So their throat chakra sometimes isn't very much aligned, and also your stomach. People hold anxiety and they push it down. So it goes from the heart and it gets pushed down. So I notice a lot of the stomach that is a main area of working with, because it's more the emotions and the thoughts than it is the feeling.
An interesting thing that I hear sometimes is that entrepreneurs are actually afraid to succeed more than they're afraid to fail. Do you see that?
I do. And you know what? With Reiki and my journey is to push that fear aside. It's amazing what you can do when you turn it off. the power of your thought is just amazing. So if my best advice is to tell people have no fear because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I like to say that fear is always going to be along for the ride. And so don't do something because you're fearful of it. Cause like it's always, whether you and I who are relatively new in our journey and building our businesses, or you're Stephen King, Oprah, Brene Brown, they all struggle with fear and imposter syndrome sometimes too.
Right.
But they take action anyways.
And I'm here to help with the fear based. So I try to turn the mindset around just so fear doesn't stand a chance.
When someone comes in and works with you, what does that typically look like?
When they come in, they're led to me divinely. They will get a feeling that they need Reiki energy. Half the time they don't know what it is. So when they do come in, I will tell them that they do experience some sort of release because they've been holding in a lot of emotion. And it could look like crying. It could look like laughter. I've seen people yawn. So it's really the letting go of the emotion. And so when I come in, I could use crystals, I could use oils. I'm big on sound because we are vibrational beings. So really, every person is unique, but the main goal is to make sure that they're leaving feeling energetically charged.
Mm-hmm. So just like it takes some time to find maybe the right doctor to work with you, or the right therapist, or the right dentist, or any of these people that we work with, it can take some time until we find a right fit. And so if someone's coming in and they're like, okay, I feel called to Reiki. So, say Sarah's a Reiki master, she must be the person I'm supposed to work with, or, they know someone else, but it may just be not a vibrational connection to what someone needs. So what sort of questions should someone ask a provider if they're going in and like, okay, I think that I need some clearing? How do they know if they have found the right person, or what questions should they ask to see if it is aligned?
Well, what I would say is if you're in front of that person, the universe has probably led you to be with that person because the energy does align. But if by chance it doesn't, there is so many different modalities and so many different people. Really go with what your intuition is telling you. If it feels right, energy doesn't lie. So if you feel like you should be there or you feel like you shouldn't, listen to your gut, listen to that intuition for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I was just on Instagram and it was talking like, for some reason, there were like 4 reels in a row where it was like, listen to your intuition. Intuition doesn't lie, and it's such a hard thing to put your finger on because it's not like, oh, I know this because of this data. It's like, it just doesn't feel right in my gut, or something feels wrong intrinsically.
Mm-hmm. I go with my intuition no matter what. So if something doesn't feel right, it's not right. If something feels right, that's where I'm at,
What does your intuition sound like or feel like for you personally?
It's more of an inner dialogue. I ask my intuition. I ask my guides, is this aligning with me? Is this where I should be? Is this what I should do? And they have no hesitation to say yes or no. It's taken a lot of meditation to kind of get to that point to be able to trust what is my ego and what is my guides.
Mm-hmm. So meditation is a practice that has helped you decipher what is ego and what is guides.
Yes.
How is that practice built up for you?
I actually, I put myself through tests too. I'll even go over to a laundry basket and say I'll do 3 loads of laundry and I'm looking for a shirt specifically. I will put my hand over and ask, is my shirt that I'm looking for in here? And they'll say no. And I know that it is not in there. So I move my hand over to the next one, which is kind of also how I do Reiki. Is I use my hand and I ask, is this chakra balanced? Is this where I need work? Is this where I need to work on? And I just listen and think. If a word pops up, it sounds like my voice. It doesn't sound like any other voice. It sounds like my inner dialogue. But it's things that I'm not thinking about. It's things that don't make sense to me, but they would make sense to others. So not only do I do the energy work, but I'm also giving you a intuitive reading as well while I'm doing my Reiki services, because again, the energy doesn't lie. Your body doesn't lie. If there's something that your guides want to communicate with my guides, they tell me. So like,
yeah,
you know, they'll say, take it easy, you're climbing too many stairs. That's not something that I would think of, but it's something that my guides would tell me to tell a client.
Gotcha. So like the verbiage in your head isn't typically you're taking too many stairs. So when it comes to your brain and you hear something that's like, oh, that's not in my vernacular.
Right.
This is why I need to say it to this person.
And sometimes it is something that would come from my brain and I don't even realize that it's a message for somebody else, that I'm just saying a random statement.
Yeah. Does it ever get overwhelming being that like in tune with the universe?
Yeah. Especially when I'm like just out and about, like at Walmart or Wegmans, and I just like, it's a lot of emotion that I feel that's not mine, and it's hard to like go back and forth and say, oh, that's not mine. Like, leave it alone. Don't go there right now. That, you know, it's not warranted. But a lot of the times I'm open. If spirit is talking to me, if I have something to say to somebody, chances are they need to hear it. So I always ask, like, hey, do you mind if I have something that came in? Do you mind if I share that with you? So it's not doing anybody any good not saying it, you know?
Yeah. I guess it depends on if the person's open for hearing it.
Right.
And so I think that question is important for, you know, do you have the capacity to take this in at the moment?
So,
yeah. So back to your discussion around like the laundry basket, which is so interesting. I find that so fascinating because in my work with entrepreneurs, like, it's like, okay, how do I get better at X, Y, or Z? You know, like I talk a lot about sales and improving your sales process and things like that, because in my opinion, if you don't sell, you don't have a business.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like,
for sure.
And so I tell everybody that things like cold calling, things like boundary work, things like the mindset piece of it, which is huge in sales, it's using a muscle, and you use it in small ways and then it grows, and then you use it in bigger and then bigger and then bigger ways. So it sounds like doing some intuitive work, like it doesn't make a huge difference in your day to day if you use your intuition to look through the laundry basket or you physically look through it yourself.
Right.
But it's using that muscle to then practice listening and connecting with the universe. Is that aligned to how it works with you?
Absolutely. It absolutely is. And it, like I said, it's something so simple, but it's something so big in the long scheme of things. So it's all accuracy. So trust. A lot of it is trust. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, and trust that, you know, people second guess themselves so much and they don't need to.
Yeah. So what are some other ways, like, because not everybody can work with a Reiki master every week, every month. Maybe it's something that they can splurge on every 6 months or once a year for their birthday. So what are other practices that someone can build into their day-to-day that you think would help them maybe tune into their chakras or understand which ones are blocked, or just ways to connect with that side?
Number one, meditation. Hands down. It's a simple practice. You can download free apps that offer, even if you only have 5 minutes, to sit down either at the beginning of your day, or me personally, I was an insomniac. I listen to meditation music throughout the whole night, and it keeps me asleep because my mind goes other places. I astral travel. So it keeps my spirit where it needs to be, but my body like rested.
Because prior to that, would you like wake up and you would like mentally be exhausted? Because
Oh yeah. I don't know how I did it. I mean, there's still times that I do wake up, but I've also found that writing things down, like feeling it, but getting it out on paper, so you can go look back at it at a different time.
Yeah, I mean, I have to listen to like sleep stories to fall asleep at night too, just because my brain just has a hard time shutting off. And I have like an idea bucket. So if I have a new idea that comes to me, I like have somewhere to put it so that when I have the bandwidth to process it and say, okay, have capacity for a new idea, then I can pull into it. But also I think that the processing of it with like writing down helps with the energy of it, to just have it move all the way from your brain through your body.
Right. And it's good to have that boundary, I feel like, too, because you're telling the universe, not right now. I am not ready to process this, but I will. So it's like that acknowledging it was really awesome.
Oh, one of the things that's always interesting when I have conversations on this podcast is thinking about relationships between two things, even if they're not like human to human or
right.
like human to physical thing. Like early on, one of my first episodes, we talked about the relationship with the word no and how impactful that can be. So talk about having a boundary with the universe. I've never thought about it in that capacity.
No is a sentence, point blank. If you're not ready to process something, acknowledge it, but almost put that pin in it and say, I'm going to circle back to that. Things that you're not comfortable with, too, is just straight up no. Even with, because there's always outside forces, too, that are trying to get in to try to manipulate, like, I'm the universe, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tell you. And you have to acknowledge, no, you're not. You are not for my greatest, highest good, and I know it is. So, yeah, be firm. That's also opening your throat chakra as well. So, but not a lot of people have that boundary, and they have the capacity to say no. A lot of people are people pleasers, and they would rather please other people than please themselves. So sometimes no is a good energy boundary.
And so your throat chakra doesn't even necessarily have to be physically speaking to somebody. It can be the energy to say no to the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh. When you do say no, you heal your ancestral line too, because a lot of women in past lives or, in your lineage couldn't say no. So you are standing up for them and breaking that chain as well.
Wow. I just got the chills when you said that. Mm-hmm. Say more about your ancestral.
Oh, I love ancestral healing. I have chills over here too. Oh. I mean, a lot of it is we don't even realize the power that we hold, especially feminine. And we go on day to day just doing what we were always told. And we're here, and a lot of us are here to break ancestral, just breaking that pattern. So some people would get hung for speaking their truth. And we're here and we're not, So use your throat chakra, be authentic, and do everything that feels good for you, because we couldn't always do that,
Yeah. I always talk about like the ripple effects of like building a business and supporting other small businesses, and how deep the ripple effects are when you live in your most authentic self. But I've never thought about it in relation to our ancestors and our like ancestral energy and all of that. So there's so much there.
And not all women couldn't always work. So the fact that we can work and we can own a business is just amazing. So I really encourage people to follow their true self and do their soul's calling, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be hard when we live in a very consumerism driven society, and where like money literally drives our day to day, and it can be hard to pivot or to feel called to something necessarily isn't bringing in a ton of money at the moment. Or there's fear that comes up around what if I can't, or what if this doesn't, or what if I fail, or like all those kind of what ifs that pop in your brain.
Right. But that's why I say let go of the fear, and then, your spirit can live. Because if you fear that it's not going to happen, you're manifesting that it doesn't. So if I say I am going to be able to do this, I am going to be able to financially support my family, and I'm going to be everything that I need to be, I will be. because the power of manifestation and your words and your thoughts are just, you can build empires. So
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. So one last question before we get into the lightning round, because I could talk forever, but I do want to I want to circle back to sales specifically when it comes to things like energy work. And so sales is very mindset driven. And so do you have any tips for kind of like right before you're about to like pitch someone or send prospecting emails or cold call? Like, what is something someone can do to kind of like clear or settle their energy before they do something super vulnerable like pitch to somebody?
Right. I would definitely make sure you're in the right headspace. I like to close my eyes. I like to connect with the energy in the room and make sure that I'm coming from that authentic self. I make sure that I'm at my best. So I make sure to kind of tell the universe, I give it to the universe, and the universe usually will give back to me because it's really putting out that intention. And everything I do is all intuitive. I do a lot of marketing for myself, and I use my intuition to say, what do I need to put on here? What is the message that people need to hear? So I go from my heart space as well.
Yeah. So don't say, well, the universe is going to take care of it. It just will bring me clients. Use it as a guide to like direct your action, not eliminate your action.
Right.
Amanda Francis, I don't know if you're familiar with her as an author, but she talks about bowing your head and moving your feet. So it's like having the faith that like the universe is taking care of what it needs to, and you need to take the action that feels aligned, because the only way we get what we want is by taking the action.
And declare that it's already yours as well. A lot of people hold their own self back. Like, what if I fail? What if you win? What if you succeed? Mindset is everything.
Yes. Sarah, are you ready to get into our lightning round questions?
I sure am.
All right. So what is a must-read book for you?
For women empowerment is Rise, Sister, Rise. And I suggested on Audible because I am a sucker for her Australian accent. So she reads it herself. So it's her own words.
Yeah.
I love it. I would read it 20 bajillion times if I could.
Yeah. Awesome. I know I tried to read a Brene Brown book one time that was voiced by someone else, and I was like, oh, this feels awful. So I love when authors read especially in that kind of space. What does creativity mean to you?
I think it's that divinely led passion. Like if I'm called to do something, that's my soul's calling. So I'm living my true self because I also am a crafter. I have 3 kids, so we kind of keep it cool, and we make sure that everything is flowing. I would say go with the flow.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I actually recently got this from my brother, like this past week, and it's changed my whole perspective on everything. Don't just do to do, be. So when you're starting your day, do it as a being. Like, don't just do it because you have to. Do it because you want to.
Yeah. That is such a crucial piece that I'm learning over and over, and we talk about a lot in my mastermind, is how can I be instead of just like checking stuff off the list. And it's hard in our culture. It's countercultural to say like, I'm going to rest on the couch today because that's what my being needs.
Right. And taking that time to listen to yourself and your needs and your soul's callings. Nourish it.
Yeah.
Because the soul is important. If it's saying rest, please rest.
Yeah. Yep. What is something that is on your bucket list?
I would like to go mining in Colorado. What I've been manifesting recently is actually getting a drivable RV to just travel the world with the kids and just go cross country and, check things off as we go. It's not just about me, it's about what they want to. So seeing them happy and succeeding is like, just my soul's like, yay. Yeah. So
I was talking with someone this past weekend who we were talking about like what our bucket list places to go would be. And she said that when she was in elementary school, her grandparents got an RV and took her across the country for the summer. And she's like, it was the best thing that they could have ever done for me. Like, I saw so many things and experienced so much that I am so grateful for them for doing that for me. So
it's amazing to just even different states to see how different things are.
Yeah.
It's not all just the same.
Mm-hmm. Not everybody thinks, looks, believes in the same things that you do. And that is a beautiful world to live in.
It sure is.
Cool. What is the coolest shit you have done in the last year or are currently working on?
Honestly, it's following my soul, because I am not just living to survive. I'm living my soul's purpose. And that to me is cool shit.
Yeah.
Because it's letting go. It's something that I have always really wanted to be in control, and I don't need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It's my most favorite, and to be quite honest, it's my family's favorite for me as well, because they get to reap the benefits of being able to control more than just what I say goes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. This was such a cool conversation. So when people listen to this and hear this, where should they find you? Where do you show up on the internet?
So I have a website. It's amethystwhispers.com. You can also find me on Facebook, on TikTok. I'm working on Instagram. I'm not very great at it yet, but certainly trying. Yeah, and I'm always here for a chat. So if anybody ever did want to reach out and just literally talk, I'm always, if you're in front of me, it's a soul's calling. So perfect. I'm always happy to help.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I appreciate you, your time, your energy, and all the incredible advice that we received here today. So thank you.
And thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
If you like that episode, please leave a review. Those are always so helpful on whatever platform you listen to this. Until next time, remember that big dreams and small steps will transform your life.